haircut.
Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. It's National Pancake Day, Tony. Did you have any flapjacks this morning?
I'm Tony Kornheiser. Nope. But I did pour a pint of syrup down my pants.
Okay, now you're starting us off with images we don't need. You're not a flapjack guy. I mean,
No, not particularly.
Your great, fabulous restaurant.
Chatter, thank you very much, on the corner of Wisconsin Avenue Northwest.
You guys do
Jennifer
a nice
Street.
waffle, but you don't have pancakes.
We do have some pancakes. I am not the world's greatest pancake guy. Honestly, once a year, I like to go and have pancakes.
Once a year?
That's it, once a year. Other than that, mostly eggs.
I'll give you a suggestion. The waffle would do better if it was named after me.
The Wilbon waffle?
Yes.
Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, a borderline fight in the NBA. Nick Foles joins the Jags, and Teddy Bridgewater makes a curious call. But we begin today with Russell Westbrook loudly and clearly threatening to beat up a fan and his wife last night in a game at Utah when Westbrook was being heckled by them. Afterwards, Westbrook said he felt he was being demeaned racially and completely disrespected. Westbrook said the fan said, quote, "Get on your knees like you're used to," unquote. The fan said he said, quote, "Just sit down and ice your knees, bro," unquote. Wilbon, was Westbrook out of line? And what should the NBA do about this?
I don't know that Westbrook was any more out of line or as out of line as the fan. The NBA is going to have to get together with all parties, players, meaning in this case the union, and security people in that arena in Salt Lake City, and the fans of the Jazz, where there have been more than one incident over the years and fights with fans over the years that were happening before Russell Westbrook was born. And they're going to have to say, you know what, the relationship between the fans, our patrons, sitting as close to the arena as they are, and the players, whom they often talk to and interact to the entire game, we're not going to have this. But in the meantime, Tony, there are people like Donovan Mitchell and Dabo Cephalosha who took some time and obviously have some information. And Donovan Mitchell specifically plays for Utah and said, as a black man who lives and plays here, I know we're better than this. I now know more about what was said. I know we're better than this, and we can't have this. And so this is something that the league and others will have to address.
Yeah, so I was struck, and what I saw was the post-game interview, and I was struck by how relatively calm and composed I thought that Russell Westbrook was, though he had a lot of time, because I think this happened in the first half, and he had a lot of time to compose himself. I was inclined, when I heard the thing, I was inclined to believe that it's possible with the ambient noise that Westbrook could have thought he heard one thing and the fan could have thought he said something else. But our friend David Aldridge was on my podcast today, and David said two things that I think you are echoing here. And one is that that is an old arena, and the fans are very, very close, and they are very obnoxious, more obnoxious than in most arenas, and that there is a feeling among black players that there's a certain hostility there over some long period of time. And so I'm willing to accept both these things are true. Westbrook didn't make any move to go into the stands. He just stood there and said what he said. So I am not all that bothered about his words. I agree with you that the NBA security has to be beefed up. And by the way, I sat here yesterday and I said that James Dolan has the right to pull somebody's tickets. Utah has the right to pull these tickets and say you can't come back here.
Apparently the fan, after they studied videotape and other things and investigated, apparently the Jazz have banned this fan.
Okay. And
so the other thing, Tony, real quickly, Russell Westbrook hasn't had incidents in other cities.
He's had him
he hasn't.
He's had him in Utah. Yeah.
And they've been in Utah. And the other night in Denver, he turned and had a very tender moment with a young kid who...
I mean, Mike, you can understand how he's a target. He plays with such anger, such ferocity all the time. But there are lines that people go over. You just can't stand up and bellow something horrible at people.
No, and apparently enough people thought that, Tony, that action has been taken. Serge Ibaka is likely to be in a lot more trouble with the league office than Russell Westbrook. Toronto's veteran forward got into a dust-up with Cleveland's Marquise Chris. That was more than a dust-up. Ibaka's clearly seen with his hand around Chris's throat and throwing at least 2 punches. That, on top of Ibaka's history with these type of incidents, clearly led to his 3-game suspension by the league. Chris got 1 game. Tony, did Chris merit any sort of suspension here, or should this have all been on Ibaka?
So this is the first time that I've even heard this other fella's name. I assume this was completely about Ibaka. You watch it, it's all about Ibaka. It is the third time that he has been in an actual fight in the NBA on the court. The first two times he got one game. You're telling me he's getting 3? I'd have given him 10. He's a recidivist. I'd have given him at least 5, but honestly, Mike, I'd have given him 10 because you cannot have, this is not what Russell Westbrook did, which is jawing with somebody and making no move at him. This is right on the court, and this to me was completely Ibaka unless you see it a different way.
No, I see it the same way as you, so I'm going to move ahead a little bit. And Tony, Serge Ibaka, he's as important to the Toronto Raptors as he once was to Oklahoma City when he was Russell Westbrook's teammate. They are dependent, not as much as Kawhi Leonard, but they need Serge Ibaka. Now, you are down the stretch now. You're in the final 15, 17 games of the season. And you losing a guy for 3 games, you try to get your stuff together to ward off the Celtics and the Bucks and the Sixers. What is he doing?
I don't know.
I mean, Serge Ibaka is too important a player, Tony, to his team. He's too smart a guy. And it's just crazy. Yes, he was involved. And you know what, Tony?
They were losing a game badly to a terrible team, and maybe that's what he did. Mike, this is the NBA's nightmare. In baseball, in hockey, and in football, when people fight, it has no impact. They wear helmets, they wear caps. You see basketball players, they are giant people. When they get into a swing out like this, you go, oh, no, we cannot have this. We cannot have it. And I don't think 3's enough. I don't, personally. I don't. The Nick Foles contract has leaked out. Jacksonville has reportedly agreed to pay Foles $88 million over the next 4 years, with $50 million guaranteed. This puts Foles in the top 10 of quarterback salaries. Wilbon, have the Jaguars overpaid for Foles?
No. They need a quarterback. We're constantly told by football people that quarterback is the most important position played in North American sports, and that is accurate. So pay him and shut up. And I think the criticism really comes from these numbers people who I find so loathsome, who want to tell you is the moment somebody's paid something, they want to just quantify it based on numbers compared to another quarterback because they're not smart enough in many cases to discern impact. You got to figure out impact, Holmes, not just numbers and averages. And the Jaguars have a defense. They are missing a quarterback and have been. They need Nick Foles. $22 million a year on average is too much. Shut up.
So I don't think that the question was, is Nick Foles better than Blake Bortles? We all agree Nick Foles is better than Blake Bortles. The question is, have they overpaid for him? They overpaid for Blake Bortles. So it's not going to surprise me if they overpay for Nick Foles, though if Nick Foles gets them to a conference championship, everybody will shut up. I do have some numbers here that concern me, and we've talked about this before. Outside of a Philadelphia Eagles uniform, Mike, Nick Foles as a starter is 5-11. When he's wearing the green, he's 21-11 in the regular season, which is great. He's 5-2 in the playoffs with a Super Bowl, which is great. But I'm concerned that when he leaves Philadelphia, he's a lesser quarterback.
Didn't somebody else leave that used to coach him? Isn't he going to have some of the same support system?
Yes.
So the magic is not Philadelphia, it's the people surrounding Nick Foles.
Well, but that's what we're going to see, whether the magic is Philadelphia or not.
You know what? The Jacksonville coaching staff and the support staff up down there, they better make sure that Foles wasn't overpaid.
Did I say 5-11, by the way, because I meant 5-7? It's still not great for $88 million. Not great.
Not great. More from the NFL hot stove tone. Teddy Bridgewater has decided to remain with the Saints, where he will back up Drew Brees, as opposed to accepting an offer in Miami, where some reports had him becoming the starter. We know Drew Brees is playing at least one more season, but there are conflicting reports as to how serious the Miami offer was. So, Tony, would you elect to remain Drew Brees' backup in New Orleans rather than be the number one guy somewhere else, in this case, Miami?
Yeah, again, we don't know how serious that offer was and if it was, in fact, an offer. But the Miami Dolphins aren't anywhere near as good as the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints should have been in the Super Bowl. They got jobbed out of being in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but you said they're not going back. You said they're going to fall off the table now because of 2 disappointments consecutively.
I think this is smart as the long play. Drew Brees is 40 years old. Teddy Bridgewater, and he doesn't get hurt. So as long as he's healthy, he's going to be the quarterback there. But Teddy Bridgewater, you're crazy not to want to play offense for Sean Payton, who throws the ball to 9 different guys every single game. If you see yourself as a passer and you see yourself as healthy, and by the way, he's 26 years old. He's only thrown 25 passes in the last 3 years. I think you make the long play. I actually think this is smarter. Do you?
No. You make the play in the NFL to go where you can play. Right now, Teddy Bridgewater is getting splinters because he's 26 years old. You mentioned he hadn't thrown 25 passes. That means he ain't playing.
That's right.
You ain't got a chance to do jack if you're not playing.
Breeze is 40.
So you bet on yourself if you were Teddy Bridgewater.
How long is Breeze going to start and play?
He's 5 years if he keeps drinking avocado shakes.
No, that's the other guy.
Oh, that's the other guy in New England?
That's the other guy, right.
Drew Brees looks healthier than Tom Brady, doesn't he?
But things happen to people. I think if you're a quarterback in the league, I think you want to play for Sean Payton. I think you want to play in New Orleans.
Sean
I think
Payton
you just looked at a Super Bowl
for several straight years. What are you talking about here?
He
didn't make the playoffs a couple of times.
Not
Payton
7
New Orleans.
straight. Somebody get in my ear about that.
Miami.
Yeah.
Take the job. Don't sit behind a dude drinking avocado shakes.
Let's take a break while I get my earpiece working. Will Deshaun Jackson be the player he was for the Eagles?
And where should Tiger Woods finish this week? You should finish first. Now, that might not happen.
You going to pick him to finish first?
Maybe.
That would be exciting.
That's a tease.
That would be exciting. You're not going to do it.
I might.
Time for the game that casinos pay us big royalties for.
A lot of royalties.
Over, under. Let's get the first one from our host, television and medical legend, Dr. Tony Kornheiser. Thanks.
Talk about fake news.
Over, under 1,000 receiving yards for Deshaun Jackson this year.
Yeah, well, Deshaun Jackson is going back to Philly, where, Tony, to me, he always should have been. He never should have left Philadelphia. He was a fit there. And now there's space for him there, I guess, too. Golden Tate may or may not be there. But Deshaun Jackson still got some skill, and obviously he still got some wheels. I'm going to go under, but I'm not saying he's not going to have a successful season. I think Deshaun Jackson can be terrific there, but he can still go, I don't know, 950 yards and not reach 1,000.
So stay with me. I'm going to use numbers, not analytics, just plain numbers here.
Okay, all right.
Last year at Tampa Bay, he gained 774 yards, but he only played in 12 games. If you project that to 16, it's 1,032 yards. And I would argue that Ryan Fitzpatrick and Jameis Winston are not as good as Carson Wentz. And that would get me to over, except for 2 things. One of those things is that Carson Wentz never plays 16. And without Nick Foles, you don't know who's going to throw
be the backup.
to D-Jacks, as we like to call him. Plus, he's 32 years old, and receivers fall off the edge of the earth at about 30 or 31. So I can see him having a pretty good year, but I'm going under. I can see him having
a good year. He can still have a good year and go 900-plus yards, 7 or 8 touchdowns.
Are you ready?
And the Eagles should be very happy about
that. All right, enough. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Over, under. 10th place for Tiger Woods this week. And this is at Sawgrass, right?
This is the
Players.
Sawgrass. Yeah, he's won twice. He won like in 2001 and 2013. I think I got those years right. He says he feels good going into this. They've changed a lot of stuff there at that course. They've gotten rid of the stupid Bermuda, which I hate. And I think it's bent grass now. Maybe it's rye. But whatever it is, Tiger is going to finish in the top 10. So the way you've posed the question, I'm forced to push.
You're going to push?
He will have a top 10 finish.
You're going to push?
All right. So that's I guess that's under in a good way.
Can I ask you a question? When you were at Northwestern, were you an agronomy major? You're talking about the bent and the Bermuda, but maybe it's the rye. Do you have any idea what you're talking about?
In Illinois, the Kentucky bluegrass we play on up there.
So here's the deal. If this was 15, I would have definitely said under, because I think he's going to be in the top 15. Last year...
You don't.
Last year, I think he will be in the top 15.
Oh, will be, okay.
Right.
All right.
Last year, he was T11, and he was just getting back onto the tour.
He's better now.
And his weekend was 65, 69. What bothers me is top 10 is a really, really good finish. That's a little more problematic for me You said you were gonna push, which I love in this game. Yeah. I'm gonna go over and say he's between 10 and 15. I'm gonna say
10 and 15.
that.
By the way, Tony, the best field possible, right? Like the top 50 are all in the Players' Championship.
It's a very good field. You ready? Over under a 14-point win for Gonzaga over St. Mary's, which I guess is tonight in the conference championship.
Yeah, Tony, conference championship. I can't wait to watch this. Tony, Gonzaga's already beat them by like 40 and 14. That's where we get the 14. But, Tony, St. Mary's is 21 and 11. They need this game desperately if they're going to get into the tournament. To me, if they win this game, if they upset Gonzaga, St. Mary's going to get in.
Oh, sure.
St. Mary's is a team that is playing for March frequently.
Well, they get the automatic bid. This is the final. So, of course,
I know. But I'm saying, well, that's right. It's the final. So, but, Tony, I think not only am I going to go under on the 14,
right.
I am smelling and picking upset for St. Mary's over Gonzaga.
Good for you. I will go the other way. The 14 is for the last time they played. But curiously, Gonzaga has won the WCAC championship 6 years in a row.
Yeah.
And if you do the division, it's 14.8 points per. So this is a very, very good number. I'm going to go over for this reason. Gonzaga really wants to solidify the number one seed
they might
that everybody says they're going to get. Okay, they're not going to play for 9 or 10 days because this is a week early. So they got to wait, and I think they're going to be jacked up beyond words. I think this will be comfortable, and I'm going over. Okay?
Tony, by the way, the WCC championship, and it is in Las Vegas.
Oh, the West Coast. What did I say, WCAC? I think I made that up.
You went back to like 1971.
I think I made that up. Over, under 1.5 of Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant to join Jimmy Dolan with the Knicks in New York City.
Suppose they get rid of Jimmy Dolan. Suppose they do that. Then it wouldn't be 1.5. But nonetheless, you know what, Tony? Everything you hear, once again, is that people think they're going to be tag team. Now, they can tag team in New York and not be with James Dolan.
Okay.
So I'm going to sort of revise this. I'm going to say, I'm going to go over. I'm going to say both of them.
Both.
Two. But I'm not saying Madison Square Garden because it could be Brooklyn. I know that would make you very angry.
I wouldn't care. Wait. I wouldn't care about that. But the question is Madison Square Garden.
I'm not going Madison Square Garden. I'm saying
you're going greater metropolitan New York? Is that what you're doing?
As far as I'm going.
Greater metropolitan New York, then you're going over? Even though Charles Barkley said that both these guys, don't have the iron skin to handle everything that goes on.
I know you and Charles have said these guys are too thin-skinned.
Well, no, but I think Kyrie is going. And I think Kyrie is going because he grew up in West Orange, which is about 10 minutes from New York City. He has ties to New York City. I think he'll go. I don't think it matters if James Dolan is there or not. But I don't think Durant is going to go because I think Durant really doesn't want the questions, the scrutiny. There's so many people every single day around him.
Every day.
And he has no ties to New York.
It's like nothing he's ever experienced before. And it is the polar opposite of Northern California.
Over, under, now over. Let's take one last break. Still to come, should Dodgers fans suddenly feel good about Clayton Kershaw?
It's a roller coaster every day. Clayton Kershaw's condition changes. Michael Bennett has a protest plan for next season with the Patriots.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Durant, why he doesn't have to do it. What's the point for him?
Why not? Come on, if they go win in New York, that'd be heroic forever.
Happy time. People, happy 71st birthday, Mark Mosley. Mosley's the greatest kicker the Washington Redskins have ever had. He was so great in 1982 that he was named MVP of the National Football League. This could never happen again. Hasn't happened since. It's never going to happen again. Mosley missed only one field goal, and his kicks decided 4 games in the strike-shortened season when the Redskins won the Super Bowl. Wilbon, you think your boy Cody Parkey is ever going to win this?
Let's not mention Cody Parkey. Mark Mosley, who we both know. Yeah. No one ever did this in the league, Tony, right? Lou Groza, didn't he play another position?
He wasn't exclusively a kicker. Happy anniversary, Chris Mullin. On this day 36 years ago as a sophomore, Mullin scored 23 points to lead St. John's to the Big East tournament title. This was 2 years before the great St. John's team that went to the Final Four. And this was the first of 3 Big East Player of the Year awards that Mullin either won outright or shared with Patrick Ewing, both of whom are back at their alma maters coaching teams that hope to get into the NCAA tournament.
And they are both better coaches than you thought they would be, aren't they?
Both
Come on
good.
now.
Yes,
Fess up.
yes. No, they're
I love
better.
this.
Better.
I love Chris Mullen.
Happy trails to Terrell Suggs. T-Sizzle leaving the only NFL team he's ever played for, the Baltimore Ravens. He will sign with the Arizona Cardinals. Why? As a homecoming tour, because Mr. Sizzle grew up in Arizona, played at Arizona State. While at Baltimore, although overshadowed by Ray Lewis, he made 7 Pro Bowls. He was the NFL's Defensive Player of the Year in 2011.
The 602, Tony. You know what the 602 stands for?
That's the area code of Phoenix. I'm aware of that.
That's right. Very
One
good
update. The NBA has fined Russell Westbrook $25,000 for directing profanity and threatening language to that fan in Utah. A minor fine given this big blow-up. Minor fine. Acknowledgement that the fan was wrong. Quickly to the big finish.
Let's do it.
Clayton Kershaw threw 20 pitches at 80% on Monday. Said he felt great. Reason for optimism?
Not yet. I mean, Clayton Kershaw, come on, you expected a whole lot. That's man. The bar's not high yet. I hope it will be. Michael Bennett told the Patriots he'll be in the locker room for the national anthem. Your thoughts?
That's well within the deal. That is the player's right. 100% fine. Lou Williams became the NBA's all-time leading bench scorer. Is that a significant milestone?
Yes, it is, Tony. And he passed Del Curry. That is such great company, those guys coming off the bench all those years. America East semifinal tonight. Binghamton at Vermont. I know who you got.
I got the Bearcats. Vermont is really, really good, honestly. But I'm picking the Bearcats out of love. Last one, CAA Northeast and Horizon League finals tonight. Who you got?
I got Hofstra, I got St. Francis, and I got Northern Kentucky. Write those down. We'll check it out tomorrow and see how I did.
Out of time. Trying to do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
Oh, Tony, we can't check tomorrow. We're off tomorrow. I'm Mike Wilbon. So not same time tomorrow. We'll be back Monday. You can get the PTI podcast on the ESPN app or Apple Podcast.
We're PTI regardless of what you see on TV.
PTI.